Hello, welcome back to another video. Today I'm just going to run you through the bike that I used in the Alps Divide. Now if you're thinking you might have seen this video a few weeks ago, the bike is pretty much the same as I used for the Silk Road mountain race. However, there are some key changes that I changed for the Alps Divide, and yeah, I'll run you through those changes in this video. I won't do a separate kit check because again the kit is a slightly pared down version of that I used for the Silk Road mountain race. So if you want to see exactly what I used there, go and check out those videos. But in the meantime, here's what I used in the Alps. Now, as you can see, this is my Mason Macro. So the frame is, well, it's tried and tested. I've already used it for the Hellenic mountain race this year and, well, 2/3 of a Silk Road mountain race. You may remember I pulled out of that race because the bearings in my front dynamo wheel basically failed. And that's the reason I essentially decided to basically, I wanted to do another race. I wasn't finished for the year. I felt like I was riding strong in the podium position, and I felt like there was a bit more left. So I came back, and the Alps Divide was 2 weeks later. So that's 1,000 kilometers, 650 odd miles from Menton in the south of France on the Mediterranean, up to Lac Leman, Thonon Le Bains on the lake there. So France, a bit of Italy, and a bit of Switzerland. The main difference, well, I guess this bike sits somewhere between my Silk Road setup and the Hellenic setup. So I guess the frame's the same, the group set's the same, the pedals are the same, the enduro bearings, same bottom bracket that I used in Silk Road. You may remember there was all those river crossings, I didn't touch it and it's still running perfectly smooth. Same with the jockey wheels. The C-post and saddle is the same, so it's the Redshift shock stop C-post and the Ergon SR All-Road Core saddle. That all remains the same. The cockpit is pretty much the same. There are a few amendments which I'll come on to in a while. The frame bag is the same frame bag. I had the same bottle arrangement, so a 1 litre bottle on the down tube and the little tail fin 3D printed adapter for the top tube. You may notice there's only one bottle here. I managed to lose one on the first night. It's the first time I've ever actually lost a bottle off this adapter. I think I didn't put it in properly, and by the time I'd realised it'd gone, I have no idea where it went. And then the tail fin flip top top tube bag. That all remains the same, as does the fork. 110mm SID. I did say, I think in the Silk Road video, that it was 120. It's not. It's the 110 version, and yeah, that all remains pretty much identical. The one thing I did change on the drivetrain was a chain. The cassette's actually the same as I used in Kyrgyzstan, but I just put a fresh chain on just to make sure that it wasn't going to wear out. So as I kind of said before, this bike sits kind of halfway between the setup I used for the Hellenic mountain race back in May and that I used for the Silk Road mountain race. And you can see kind of, well, the main change on the bike itself is the wheel set. So I decided I didn't need a dynamo wheel set for Alps Divide. It's not as remote as Silk Road mountain race. There's more places to recharge stuff if needed, and it was only going to be 4 or so days, 4 nights, and at this time of year, kind of late summer, early autumn, there wasn't going to be, I was going to be able to do it on one charge on a battery light. And so I went for the same wheels I used for the Hellenic mountain race. So these are the Hunt proven XC UD carbon wheels. So these have the fancy carbon UD spokes, and they're super light. They're about, well, they're under 1,300 grams. And yeah, given the really mountainous nature of this race and this route, I decided to go for those again. They performed really well in Greece at the Hellenic race, and again they were brilliant here. I really can't knock them. I did have my kind of doubts when they were first launched as to how durable the carbon spokes would be, but I've done 2 ultras on them this year. They're still running really smooth, and I'm really impressed with them. I put on, well, I had the 2.25 Conti double tyres in Kyrgyzstan. I don't know really why I put those on. I put 2.4s back on for this race. They were pretty good, although I did slash the rear tyre with a day to go. Basically, I just caught the side knob and just perfectly tore the side knob off, which was pretty frustrating. It meant I had to finish with a tube in, so there's a tube in at the moment. But apart from that, grip's pretty good, and you know, rolling resistance is low. I just think that puncture was just one of those things, 1 in a million chance of like tearing the tyre and hitting the knob at that exact place where I did. So yeah, really pleased with that wheel set and tyre combination. The other difference you may notice from the Silk Road mountain race setup, and actually it's different from the Hellenic setup as well, is this. So this is the new Tailfin Speed Pack. You may have seen some prototypes on my bike at various events in the past sort of 18 months, 2 years. And this is the final production version. So essentially it's kind of, it's a bit more compact and smaller than the Aeropack Cargo, which I used in Kyrgyzstan. Not quite as much volume, and it's a bit more tapered. Now that's really good for people with smaller frames because it tucks down under the saddle. It was also really good in this instance because there was quite a lot of kind of steep single track, and it just gives you a bit more space to get over the back of the saddle. And it's also quite a bit lighter. Now I put it on my scales at home. It was about 250 grams lighter than my cargo pack, so that makes a difference when you're on the climbs. Volume's not as big, and it's not quite as easy just to sort of chuck everything in, but given I was running bit of a pared down setup, it wasn't so much of a problem. So yeah, worked really well. Got this mesh on top where I was able to store stuff, and yeah, really excellent. So in the back here, essentially I kept my rain gear and my sleeping gear. Now again, the rain gear was exactly the same as I used in Kyrgyzstan. Essentially I got home, put everything in the wash, took it out and put it back on the bike. So I used this, I used the Albion rain pants. Again, really excellent. Keep me warm. Sometimes I use them as a warm layer. There was a fair bit of rain in the Alps, so they definitely kind of definitely paid for themselves. I also had the same Zoa rain shell. This is a new prototype for a future design, a bit more pared down than the current one. Again, performed really well. Wore it a lot. Used it as both a rain layer and a wind layer. Yeah, really excellent. And then the sleeping gear, I actually used a different sleeping bag to Kyrgyzstan. So in Kyrgyzstan I had that Sea to Summit one, the Spark 7. This is my old PhD Designs custom 6-degree bag. Now I use this primarily because I wanted a back-to-back comparison with the Sea to Summit. I guess this is rated as 6 degrees, whereas the Sea to Summit is 7. So basically it's got the more expensive like top end down in there. It's a bit of a tighter fit, it's more of a mummy shape, whereas the Sea to Summit one was a bit more sort of square cut. Jury's out as to which is best. I do like this, but I felt like the Sea to Summit one is easier to really sort of get down inside and sort of pull it over your head. It's a bit longer. So yeah, both good bits of kit. I'd probably take either for any race again, but I took this one this time. As for the bivvy, I took the same bivvy that I used for the Hellenic mountain race earlier in the year. So this is just a RAB survival zone. It's got a custom mesh on there, and then a Thermarest Neo Air 3/4 sleeping mat. Again, same kind of setup for Hellenic. This is my kind of, I guess, my light sleeping setup. And yeah, I don't think I slept in the bivvy bag. I tended to use it as a ground sheet because it was warm enough and I could always get shelter. But it was a good setup, worked well, I was comfortable. I slept probably a bit too much given the time I was behind the winner. I was second by like an hour and 40 minutes, and I slept twice as long as him. So maybe I should have taken a slightly less, a little less comfortable setup. But yeah, worked really well. So that was in the compartment. And then on the back here, this is where I sort of put excess food. So in here I've got my punctured inner tube with a failed patching attempt. I just kept that just in case everything went wrong. And then I've got a couple of these Sturka caffeine carb mixes. They didn't get used in the end, but I started with quite a lot of gels and some bars and some general food, a couple of sandwiches, and then toilet paper. You want to know what that's for. That's in there. Things you want to get quickly are kept in the mesh. So yeah, that is the rear pack. Now, as I've already said, on the front of the bike, things are pretty much the same as Kyrgyzstan. However, I ran my Exposure Max D. I did change the setup. I used this for Hellenic, but I put it on the same bracket I used for my K-Light, so it sticks out the front a little bit. It kind of worked, but it wasn't ideal because it did move a bit. It wasn't quite tight enough to hold the light in place with the weight of it. But a cable tie solved that, and that was okay, and that was enough light to see me through. I think I finished with basically the capacity to do another night night's riding if I needed to. The grips were these Ergon GS3 grips, again exactly the same as I used in Kyrgyzstan, with the little redshift top grip modifications in the middle for an extra hand position, and then my little Data Blast aero bars. It was worth having it for Alps Divide. There was quite a lot of kind of tarmac and valley roads, so I use those quite a lot. And then one of the major changes I made compared to the Silk Road was the GPS. So I've got myself one of these Coros Dura GPS units, and the one thing that really sort of drew me towards it was 120-hour battery life, and I only got it a couple of days before. Coros kindly sent it over to me, and yeah, it took a few days to get used to it, but I was very impressed, really impressed. I think I charged it for maybe half an hour just to top it up, mainly because it was raining on the last day and I didn't quite know how far the battery would go, but to be honest, I think I probably could have done the whole lot without charging it. So yeah, definitely very impressed with it, and definitely I think it's going to become a feature of my bikes going forward. It's just one less thing to need to charge and think about, and also I think it just extends the amount of days you can go without a dynamo light. Potentially I might even consider doing Silk Road. It's quite sunny there, so I think I could get quite a lot of charge. So yeah, more on that soon. I'll probably sort of use it for a while and do a separate review video, but yeah, very impressed with that so far. There's a bit of a code on the screen if you want it. I think they're giving away something free if you buy one of these. They're pretty reasonably priced, 250 quid. So when you compare it to other units out there, I'd say it's pretty good value. So yeah, so far so good, but more to come on the Dura when I've ridden it a bit more. So everything in the tailfin top tube bag was the same as in Kyrgyzstan, so I won't pull everything out, but essentially it was sort of tools, sunscreen, you know, my patch kit, my dyno plug, which got far too much use in this race, and everything I needed to hand there. Also my camera, so there'll be loads of images. I'll put them on Substack at some point. And then the frame bag, again, a very similar kit layout to what I used in Kyrgyzstan. The pocket on the other side, I'll show you this because it's an important part of the setup. Obviously no dynamo, so I ran, it was a Nightcore power pack, 10,000 milliamp. I think I pretty much used it all, basically charged my phone twice and topped up the Dura. So yeah, it's not too big, quite light, quite rate that actually, pretty good. And then into the main compartment, this is kind of all the stuff that I wanted to wear, my layers basically. So the differences between Kyrgyzstan and minimal. So I took knee warmers instead of leg warmers. I figured it'd be a bit warmer in the Alps. So I wore these, actually wore them quite a lot. I like to keep my knees warm. And I wore the waterproof trousers over the top quite often, which worked really well. Had the same arm warmers I used in Kyrgyzstan. These are POC ones, again, worked really well. I had the POC gloves, the bright orange ones that probably made me stand out quite a lot this year. The same pedal edge gloves with the Polartec lining in them. Again, used them a few times, but it wasn't so cold, so I didn't really have to use them too much. I used the Albion Pertex gilet. I use that quite a lot. It was quite useful to have it in the back pocket just to put it on descents and things like that. This is the new piece, not quite out just yet, but you would have seen it in my Silk Road video. The new active layer, it's like a hoodie. I use this so much, it's so good. It just breathes so well, so you can wear it on climbs and not get too hot. I quite often put the gilet over the top and it traps some heat with the insulation, or underneath the Zoa jacket, and that was my warm layer. You can pull the sleeves up and down to regulate heat. You can put the hood up. Really, really good piece, dries out quickly. I slept in it. So yeah, that's going to be out soon. I really would recommend that. So yeah, keep an eye out for it, and I've got a 15% discount on Albion stuff, so I put that on the screen as well. Then I just had the Albion Merino neck warmer. I don't think I actually used it, but if it was a bit colder at times, I probably would have, but always good to have, doesn't take up much room or weight. The forecast beforehand was showing quite a bit of rain, so I put my waterproof socks in. Again, the same ones I used in Kyrgyzstan. I didn't have to use them in the end, but kind of better to have them than not, I suppose. And then what else? I finally used my my lobster gloves. Use these quite a lot, and quite often I'd use them just over my mitts. It wasn't really cold enough to justify the winter gloves at times, but so on descents I just put these over the top just to take the edge off the wind, and they work pretty good. Also use them in the rain, so yeah, kind of rate those. Seem to have held up pretty well, no holes or wear or anything at the moment. So these were the Sportful ones. So yeah, I just bought those off the Sportful website. So yeah, pretty pleased with those. And what else have I got in here? Pack of Mentos, cost me one filling on this trip. Chewed one and broke a filling. And then various bags of bits of rubbish. And then in here I just had a socket, just in case I need to charge anything at a checkpoint or a hotel, which I didn't stay in the end. So that's in there, and a spare pair of socks which I didn't actually use, which is a good sign because it means the conditions weren't too terrible. So yeah, that's pretty much all the clothing I used. And then the spares in here, they were pretty much the same as I used, well, they were exactly the same as I used in Kyrgyzstan. So yeah, check out that video for all the detailed breakdown on those. So there we go, that's the bike and the kit check for Alps Divide. Fairly lightweight setup. I think it's one I'd probably use again for something similar. So yeah, I hope you found the video useful. Don't forget to check out all the links, there's a few discounts and things below. And yeah, that's it for this year in terms of racing ultras, but I'm sure I'll find an excuse to do a few more trips. So catch you in the next video.